Hi, this is Rob Leo, and in this tutorial we're going to take a look at how to take a custom MyMaps that you've built in Google Maps and export it into Google Earth to take a tour of those locations. To get started, if you watched part one of this video series, I created a map. I called it Demo for Video, which I'm going to change the name of that. Actually, I just need to click on the title, change the name. Call it Ancient Rome, East versus West. This map identifies cities of the Eastern and Western Roman empires. All right, we'll save that. Now it's time to export. Again, with the dotted lines, you can click and export to Kml Slash Kmz. This is the file format that Google Earth recognizes. So to do that, we're going to export the entire map. I don't need to worry about clicking the buttons. Well, actually, we'll export the Kml file. No, we're going to leave it as is. We're going to use the default settings, and we'll just download that. And you should notice it appears in my downloads at this point. Next step is to import this into Google Earth. Earth.google.com. Used to be you had to have special software with Google Earth installed. Now it is simply available on the web, and you can get to it on a Chromebook. It does take a moment to load. Google seems to have a little sense of humor. 2.8 trillion out of 3.04 trillion trees processed. And now here we are in Google Earth. Just to orient you a little bit, you've got some settings on the left-hand side of your screen, and you got some settings down on the bottom. Of course, if you click the menu, it identifies what those icons mean. You can search for stuff. You can take a Google Voyager tour, which is how you would take different preset tours. Notice as you click on this, they have editor's picks, travel, nature, culture, history. So if I was to click on history, for example, they have all sorts of preset tours. Let's say you wanted to look for following King Arthur, for example, or explore Athens. Again, Google has some preset stuff. Sorry, my phone's going to talk again. Every time I say, okay, you know who, the phone wants to chime in. Anyway, if we look at the top museums, Google has 4 locations already preset. You got their push pins here. You have little blurbs and images, and you can get a 3D view of what you're looking at. Notice you can kind of go through those. Click on the different locations to get more information. Again, we're making our own custom tour, but Google Voyager has some preset stuff. And here we are just directly in Street View. Notice the little Street View guy is available. If you want to click on him, you can exit Street View, and it kind of pulls you back out with an aerial view. Street View is handy because you can literally take a walking tour of certain locations. If I click on the Roman Agora, again, you can kind of see a little custom bit of information about it, even though it's not necessarily part of this tour. And if you want a closer look, if you bring the Street View guy over, anywhere that's identified in blue, you can get a close-up view of stuff. Even these little dots can bring you inside, including museums. But you just drop them down, and it will bring you into the 3D view of that particular location. So it literally puts you on the scene, and you can pan the screen and look around and kind of see some of the ancient ruins. And if you click the push pins from the aerial view, you can get more information about those things. Anyway, back to the menu. We're looking to make our own custom tour, and My Places is where you do that. But in order to do it properly, you need to tell Google Earth that you will allow the import of a KML or KMZ file. It's not set up by default. So under Settings, if you scroll down, notice Enable KML File Import, which is somewhat experimental at this point. Mine has been turned on. You can just click it to turn it on and then save the settings. You might want to explore too. As far as the settings go, notice you can adjust the animation speed. You can determine where you are. You can determine how you're going to measure distance if you choose to measure distance, whether or not you want to show the zoom buttons and all that fun stuff. So we're all set. now the next step is to go back to the My Places area, and it's here where we're going to import the KML file. To do that, we need to open the file from our computer or from Google Drive. We're just going to open from our computer because that's where it's downloaded. It's in my downloads folder. I called it Ancient Rome. There's the file. Notice it's listed as a KMZ file. Just double click on that and it will import the map for you. Kind of reorienting us to a degree. Let's just save that. Now I've got my ancient Rome east versus west. Notice the triangle. I have ancient Rome and I have Constantinople. If I want to click on that with a double click, I can fly in. There's my push pin. And as I get a little bit closer, you should see my custom blurb. You can also click on the push pin. It should pull up the blurb. There's the picture I use. There's the description that I included. And if I want to fly to the next place, it's just a matter of double clicking on Constantinople. That'll pull me out and it will fly me over to modern day Istanbul. And again, clicking the push pin gives me a nice view of the blurb I included, the description I included, and then there's that YouTube link to the song that I wanted to have folks listen to. Good times. You can listen to that on your own. Got a catchy beat to it. And they have an accordion. So once again, just to recap what we've done here, we made a custom map in Google MyMaps. We exported it as a KML file. We went to Google Earth. We adjusted our settings. We enabled the KML file import, and then back to the menu, we went to My Places, and we included the custom map we made and imported it into Google Earth to fly around and make our own custom tour. Notice too, under map style, one last thing here before I set you on your way, you have different map styles you could use, and you can also customize what you include in your maps in Google Earth. So if you don't want transit information, transit lines and so forth, you can make sure those are unchecked. If you want to make sure you have landmarks and water features, if you want to include clouds, for example, you can kind of turn that stuff on. Same thing with borders and places. If you want to have the names of countries, states, provinces, localities, neighborhoods, and parcels, you can check all those things or uncheck them to make your map either as clean as possible or not. And again, one last thing before we go, I strongly encourage you take a few moments and really explore Google Earth. It's got a lot of cool stuff, especially with that Voyager tool. And then the My Places is where you go back to find your own stuff. But that Voyager tool combined with the little pin man that you push down and get that street view. It's kind of a fun way to explore a variety of locations. Just a matter of putting the pin man down and going to the blue areas. So if we want to check out George Bernard Shaw's neighborhood, again, you can kind of take a little walking tour of the lane that takes you to his house. Pretty cool stuff. Thanks for listening, and I hope you find a way to use Google Maps in your classrooms.